Today is the deadline for Minnesota to comply with federal policies barring transgender athletes in girls and women's sports. Thanks for joining us. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos.
And I'm Jennifer Hoff. The White House has said federal funding is on the line if Minnesota doesn't comply. Our Gordon Severson is here now and has a look at what comes next. Gordy.
Well, back on September 30th, the U.S. Department of Education and the Department of Health and Human Services sent Minnesota a 10-day notice to change its Title IX policies regarding transgender athletes or suffer the consequences. Well, today is that deadline, so we wanted to find out if any of those consequences are coming and what happens next.
We will not participate in this shameful bullying.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison has long defended transgender athletes in Minnesota. When faced with a deadline this Friday to ban transgender athletes from girls' sports, Ellison sent federal officials this letter, arguing their threats to take away funding to Minnesota aren't valid because they would have to go through a long process to actually do it. And since the federal government is shut down anyway, Ellison says he will not give them an official decision at this time.
So I think this is a similar situation to what happened in Maine.
U of M political law professor Timothy Johnson says Maine was issued a similar 10-day warning back in March. The governor there also defied the federal government's order, and according to sources in Maine, education funding has not been taken away as a result of the state's Title IX policies.
I wouldn't expect if enforcement happens, anything to happen quickly, whether or not there was a government shutdown, because I think there will still be some back and forth between the state and the federal government before any full policy changes are made.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me with our federal government being shut down.
Lisa Atkinson is a school board director in Prior Lake and the spokesperson for a growing coalition of school board members who are putting pressure on state leaders to ban transgender athletes from girls' sports.
We are up to 245 members who've joined these. They're all school board directors from across the state.
However, despite the pressures on all sides to make a decision, Professor Johnson feels the issue may be decided by the Supreme Court, which has already agreed to debate the issue.
I think that in the end, despite the fight, if that's the way you want to put it, between the administration and states like Minnesota, the ultimate word will come down from the United States Supreme Court, and most likely they will side with the administration.
We also heard from the governor's office today. A spokesperson called this whole situation a distraction used by Republicans in Washington while the government is shut down. The Education Department has not responded to our requests, and the State High School League says they have no comment.
And you wonder, too, that this shutdown is certainly affecting maybe people getting back to you in a timely manner.
Yeah, I did reach out to the U.S. Department of Education and the Department of Health and Human Services, and basically instantly I received an email back that said, because of the shutdown, we're impacted by this. So if there are consequences coming, everyone is basically telling us that it would take some time because of the shutdown.
And if it goes to the Supreme Court, this is certainly going to be very drawn out.
For sure.
All right, Gordy, thank you for that.